Welcome back to the Adventures of the Monad, which will look at life, the universe, and everything. My name is Kazim Kamal-ur-Rahim. In this series, I ask the question, where do we come from, who are we, and where are we going? I post one presentation a week. Please subscribe to my website and hit the bell icon for notifications of future videos. You can also leave comments and join in forum discussions on my website. In presentation 38, on the mental body, I looked at the envelopes of incarnation as a coherent structure, even though it is split between two triads, the first and the second. The mental body is different in many ways from the emotional and physical etheric bodies. The most important of these differences is that part of it, the higher mental body, also known as the causal body, survives between each incarnation, whereas other envelopes are dissolved and new ones constructed as a monad returns to the physical plane. A second important consideration when discussing the mental body is its separation between two triads. This leads to the need of having a connection between the upper and lower halves. Two connections already exist, the life thread and the consciousness thread. But a physical connection, known as the material bridge, also needs to be constructed before this envelope can function to its true potential. I have spoken about the higher mental body, which is also known as the higher causal body. I wish now to complete the discussion by talking about the lower mental body. I then wish to go on and briefly outline what awaits the monad when it finally exits the fourth, the human kingdom. The lower causal body is a ring past knot that early theosophists spoke about to indicate the periphery of the sphere of human consciousness. It encloses the physical etheric, emotional, and mental body. This definition may sound confusing at first, and I wish to explain a few technicalities here. I have deliberately mixed up the terms mental and causal because they are technically the same thing, and yet they are separate as well. What am I talking about? The mental body is a structure that has the same foundation of one particular atom, 47.1, and 6 molecules, 47.2 to 47.7. But this structure is split between two triads. This results in the need for one of the molecules in the lower mental body to assume the role of a permanent structure, so that mental memories can be stored between incarnations in the upper causal body. See how I have switched from using the term causal from the term mental. The clue lies in what I said when I mentioned the ring past knot. The lower causal body is actually part of the upper causal body, not part of the lower mental body. Confused? Well, if you look at the diagram that I've often used to depict the envelopes of incarnation, there is an envelope I label the persona. This we generally think of as being our personality somehow, the you that has incarnated. The thing about this structure is that it does not have either a permanent atom or a molecule. It has no memory of its own. So what is it doing there? I will now explain. The first thing you notice about this lower causal body is that it looks much the same as the higher causal body. It is hardly surprising, as they are the same structure, just operating on different triads. The lower causal body is smaller in scale, about 2 to 3 meters in size, whereas the higher causal body is 7 to 10 meters in size. The size of the lower causal body increases as we evolve and bring down more of what is often called soul essence. What is this essence? Elemental essence, of course. What is deemed to be your soul is in fact a collection of memories stored in your higher causal body. But do you notice an inconsistency here? Elemental essences are secondary matter. They are passively conscious and therefore hold no memory. So, where are our memories really stored? They are stored in tertiary matter And where is this located? The answer is your permanent atoms and permanent molecule. What then is the purpose of the elementary essences in your envelope? They are there to help you think. The secondary matter that is stored in your lower mental body, otherwise known as your mental body, is capable of concrete thought. The elementary essence present in your higher mental body, called the causal body, vibrates to abstract thought. This is a world of difference, and I have spoken about this in a previous presentation. During the early stages of the human kingdom, the causal body appears colorless. The reason is that the molecules it contains are inactive, becoming luminous when they are activated. This envelope flashes with color to reflect the aspiration and nature of the monad. The upper part of this lower causal body at the 4 compassionate stage has its envelope lit up with a crown or halo of brilliant sparks, indicating their desire to unite with the second triad. At each incarnation, the lower causal body takes different batches of atoms and molecules from the higher causal body. Think of these as a skill set. This causal matter imbues the new persona with some of the soul's character and provides qualities and abilities to achieve the goals set by your guardian angel for that particular incarnation. At 5, the enlightened stage, monads do not have a lower causal body because they incarnate with the higher causal body in totality. So, what is the function of the lower causal body? It is to collect activated causal atoms and molecules that are released from the lower subtle bodies and return them to the higher causal body at the end of an incarnation. But wait a minute. How can causal matter emanate from a lower envelope that is in a different plane to causal matter? It can't. What happens is that through a process of passive radiation, lessons learnt and experienced in the lower envelopes, mainly the emotional and mental, is radiated to the causal matter in the persona. Remember, this persona is your lower causal sheath. Here again, I wish to point out what may seem a contradiction. If you look at my presentation of the envelopes of incarnation, the lower causal envelope envelops the lower subtle bodies. This leads you to think that it is on the first triad. It can't be if it contains causal matter. The tertiary matter that makes up the skin of the persona's envelope may be from the mental plane. The causal matter in it is picking up radiation from the lower envelopes and storing them. I am glad I have cleared that up to myself, if no one else. At the 1 young and 2 community stages of development, both causal bodies contain the lowest type of 43-1 molecules. During the 3 cultured and 4 compassionate stages, 47-3 molecules are gradually replaced by 47-2 molecules. At the 4 compassionate and 5 enlightened stages, there is also replacement of the molecules with 47-1 atoms. This links back to the analogy of the egg. Over the course of evolution of a monad through the human kingdom, it changes the proportion of molecules within this egg, and the egg inverts. The consciousness of the lower causal body is passive. Why? Because without a permanent atom or molecule, the monad has no means of actively using it. The monad has nowhere to focus its attention to take charge of that envelope. Remember, the monad is physically present on the 43-1 plane at the highest level of the cosmic physical plane. Everywhere in its evolution through the lowest cosmic plane, it has to focus its attention through a triadic structure. At the 4 compassionate stage, the mental body forms a close association with the lower causal body, which allows the mental body to passively perceive causal consciousness. When the 2 causal bodies merge at enlightenment, I3, the causal consciousness in the incarnated monad becomes objective. Why is it objective now? Because the 2 halves of the causal body unite and the 47-1 atom is present. The monad now has a home to reside in and focus its gaze out objectively into the world around it. What a relief! No more fake news. The monad now knows the truth behind everything it perceives. That brings me to the end of my study of the envelopes that a monad uses and develops as it passes through the fourth, the human kingdom. I hope you have a clearer understanding of what exactly constitutes being human. In future presentations, I go on to explain why we experience the world the way we do, precisely because our bodies are divided in the ways that they are. I now wish to go on and briefly look at what lies beyond the fourth kingdom of nature. When you look at the triadic structure, it becomes clear that the first triad contains all that we need to pass through the three lower kingdoms of nature: the mineral, the plant, and the animal. What makes us human is that part of our being that positions itself on the second triad. This is what makes us human, yet for most of our sojourn through the fourth kingdom, we are oblivious to this fact. Now, let's assume that we have finally awoken to find ourselves objectively conscious in our 47-1 permanent atom. We are now a true, fully functioning, all singing and dancing human. For most of the time before this, we were an animal-human hybrid, with the emphasis on the animal. As we look out and survey what lies ahead of us, we see we are as conscious on the second triad as we were conscious as rocks on the first triad. We occupy exactly the same position. As humans, we were functioning mainly on the first triad, but at least all three triadic structures were engaged to a greater or lesser extent. Now sitting fully conscious in our penthouse in the mental body, what exactly stretches before us? Well, as before, when a new higher subtle body is first created, it primarily contains molecules from the lowest levels of that plane. So if we have a newly minted unity body before us, it contains only 46-7 molecules. As our consciousness develops further, denser molecules are replaced with lighter ones, 46-6 to 46-2. Atomic consciousness cannot be achieved until the next subtle body is acquired. I hope by now you are clear that evolution is a gradual step-by-step process. Some esotericists hold the notion that we are somehow evolving on all planes of consciousness at once. Firstly, they invariably do not know that there are 49 planes in total to evolve on. They mainly see only the end of the second triad. They nevertheless feel smug that although they are clueless down here, they somehow are transcendently brilliant somewhere else at the same time. What they fail to grasp is that the biggest gift of Hylozoics is that everything has to have a matter component. So if you are somehow conscious on some advanced plane of consciousness, what physical body are you using and when did you construct it? This comment unfortunately flies straight over their heads, as for them there is only consciousness. Matter is something nasty and inconvenient that exists down here alone. Okay, having understood that now clearly, I hope you can understand why human etheric, emotional and mental bodies only contain molecular matter. We have not started to construct our unity body 46 yet. So if someone tells you that they are conscious and actively engaging on these higher planes, 46 and 45, why are they not enlightened down here? Get it? Our bodies of incarnation will not contain atomic matter until we graduate from the fourth kingdom and acquire a unity body 46. We have to actually graduate, not just be enlightened in our human bodies. Then and only then do our 47-1, 48-1 and 49-1 atomic structures become visible to us. Look at this diagram. It refers to the evolution of the monad through the fourth, the fifth and the sixth kingdoms of nature. On the left, you can see the divisions of the triads, with the monad sitting at the top of all three triads. The human monad starts its evolution by becoming conscious in its 49-1 physical atom. The etheric component of the physical body is first acquired in the mineral kingdom. How this happens has been talked about in previous presentations. Most of humanity today is conscious in their 48-1 permanent atom. The emotional body itself was acquired in the plant kingdom. When the human reaches the 4 compassionate stage, it is conscious through its 47-4 permanent molecule. The mental body itself was first acquired in the animal kingdom and is refined in the human kingdom. The causal body that we use for our entire sojourn through the human kingdom is a borrowed envelope. It was kindly loaned to us by a solar diva we call our guardian angel. This is the first of 2 guardian angels that are going to help us evolve through the cosmic physical kingdom. This causal body is dissolved and remade when we enter the 5th kingdom. This happens when we take the 4th initiation, I-4. The unity body 46 itself is created as we enter the 5th kingdom, and we now focus through the 46-1 permanent atom. Although the next envelope we evolve into goes fully active when we enter it, at the 3rd initiation, I-3, we activate our lower spiritual body 45 as well. That means there are a few molecules in it. However, it is when we enter this envelope at 900 that we build a proper body. When we are in the lower 45th body, we are in the same situation that we were in our mental body. We have one body with us, and there is a higher component that is on loan to us and given by an angel. In this case, by an exalted being known as a protagonos, meaning the firstborn. This upper spiritual body stays with us through the entire 5th kingdom. And like we did with our causal body, we create a new one using our 45-1 atom as we graduate to the 6th kingdom. To do this, we take the 6th initiation, I-6, at 1100. Now, we have what is known as a divine body, which was created at I-6. Notice that this body sits directly over the 46th triadic body, which sits directly over the 48th triadic body. These bodies are linked in many ways, too numerous to describe at present, onwards and upwards. The embryonic lower monadic body is activated when the monad is still focused through its spiritual atom 45-1. The partially activated body serves the monad until it graduates into the 44-4 permanent molecule and creates a fully active envelope at 1300. Notice the term activate, not construct. The triad structures are put in place by divas when the monad enters the cosmic physical plane as a quaternary monad. When was that? When we graduated to the mineral kingdom. Now, we have one more step to take to get back to our monad. You may say, but surely we never left it. This is true, but when you left it as a quaternary atom, you were conscious at the level of a rock. When you get back, you may notice a difference. The upper monadic body was brought into life when the monad of 43-1 was activated at 1100 at the 6th initiation I-6. This body becomes fully active when the monad leaves the 3rd triad at 1500 I-7 and returns to the 43-1 atom fully conscious. When I say fully conscious, I mean conscious as a monad can be when it is on the 43rd plane. What? You mean there is more? Yes, a lot more. The mastery of a plane is known as initiation. How many planes are there? 49. Therefore, you know how many initiations you have to take before you graduate from this universe. An initiation usually involves mastery of 7 subplanes of consciousness. When I draw the 3 bodies of humanity, you see atomic matter represented at the top of each envelope. The first 3 initiations are passed at 49-2, 48-2, and 47-4 consciousness levels. Looking at this diagram, you can see the 4th, 5th, and 6th kingdoms represented on the Kabbalistic tree of life. We are back to the Gnostic representation of Christianity and what exactly was being expressed when they presented certain symbols in a mystical story. So the 3 crosses represent the 3 crosses found on the hill of Golgotha, Calvary. These are our 3 kingdoms. These crosses are given symbolic names, which I have often mentioned to you. These are the Father, the Son, and the Mother. The Mother, which represents matter, and the first triad or persona, Mary, gives birth to the Son. This represents the second triad or the soul, in brackets, Christ child. This child eventually grows up to be the Father in the third triad. Father is also known as Spirit. Clearly, this depth of knowledge was not going to fly with most of humanity 2 millennia ago, and it still won't fly with most of them today. But the hierarchy hid the truth of our evolution through the cosmic physical kingdom in plain sight. As we evolved, we were able to access the hidden meaning of such symbols through the study of thought systems such as Hylozoics. Give a shout out to Pythagoras. Hooray! The progression of the monad beyond the human kingdom is presented in the table. This is an extension of the table I have presented to you already. I divided it into 2 halves to allow you to focus on the story at hand. The x-axis is labeled to reveal the delineation of the kingdoms, as well as stages of consciousness development and the initiations taken. The y-axis represents the planes of matter the monad passes through as it traverses the cosmic physical kingdom. Please study this diagram, which I will post in my script notes on my website, adventuresofthemonad.com. Points of interest are the existence of another lotus, this time the spirit lotus. This is where the monad stores its conscious memories between incarnations of the globe itself. The diagonal grey band represents the progression of our subjective consciousness. Everything in the table below the grey band is objective consciousness, and everything above it is subjective. This we have described previously as superconsciousness. When the objective consciousness present below the grey band reaches a higher plane, the monad moves its focus of consciousness to the permanent atoms in its envelope on that plane. It now gradually develops its subjective consciousness in this new subtle body. When the monad achieves what is known as cosmic consciousness at 1500 and rises to the 42nd plane of matter, it discards its entire triad chain. The 42nd plane is the lowest cosmic emotional subplane. The 8th initiation, I-8, is what the Lord Buddha took and passed in his last incarnation. Now you can see why I have palpitations when esotericists use the term Buddhic in structures found in the cosmic plane. Once you go Buddhic, you dissolve your entire triad chain. Consequently, you cannot even re-enter the cosmic physical plane. You have no structures there to support you. However, you do retain your 43-1 permanent atom. You keep this until you finish your entire evolutionary journey through all the planes of matter and end up back on plane 1, a fully conscious monad. This has been a long presentation, but I wanted to complete my story of the human body, what it is composed of and how it functions. In my next presentation, I wish to tackle a new subject, sleep and dreams. If you wish to read a transcript of the presentation or leave a comment, links to my website are in the description box below. Thank you.